Call at the ready. Now's a good time to cover the ears. Ready! Number 2 is also ready.
Headstone with the Monocacy National Battlefield Foundation, and in the background you see some cannon there. They're going to be fired today as part of Artillery Day at Monocacy National Battlefield Park. In the background you hear a ranger giving an orientation about the battle, and I hope to speak to Ranger Matt Borders, who will explain the particular role that artillery played during the battle. So I can't guarantee this will be the best video you ever see, but I will guarantee that you'll get a bang out of it, perhaps 2 bangs out of it. Hi, I have the honor of having Park Ranger Mark. Okay, we'll start over again. Hi, I have the honor of having Park Ranger Matt Borders with us today. And Matt, can you give us an overview of the role that artillery played in the Battle of Monocacy?
Happy to do so. So today is Artillery Day here at Monocacy National Battlefield, and the King of Battle plays a significant role in this engagement. While we joke that the Battle of Monocacy is the most important little fight you've never heard of, there are a lot of cannon involved in this smaller battle. We have 7 guns for Federal forces here at the battle, and upwards to 38 cannon will be here with Confederate forces, though we think about 18 of them actually deploy and are utilized during the fighting. Now behind us here we have what's known as an 1857 gun howitzer, better known as a Napoleon. This is the workhorse of the American Civil War. It fires a 12-pound ball about a mile, so the ridge line off in the distance behind me is about a mile away. This gun could easily slap that ridge. This is going to be the majority of cannons utilized by Confederate forces here. Interestingly enough, the big brother of this gun, the 24-pound howitzer, is actually on the other side of the Monocacy River in a blockhouse, one of those small wooden forts we've talked about before, or I should say right next to one of those small wooden forts. And that Federal gun is going to be very important to suppressing and keeping Confederate forces back away from the railroad bridge for most of the morning of July 9th, 1864. In the distance, that ridgeline also has 6 rifled cannon, 3-inch rifles here at the Battle of Monocacy used by Federal forces, specifically the Baltimore Light Artillery. Those guns are going to be moving back and forth throughout the day. These are considered light artillery pieces, and so even though the cannon barrel and carriage can weigh up to a ton, they can still be moved fairly easily by a team of horses, or in desperate situations, even by the men themselves. Now, the positioning of those Federal guns is going to help suppress Confederate efforts on the morning of July 9th to get at the 2 bridges across the Monocacy. The wooden covered bridge out here that takes 355 across the Monocacy River, and of course the iron railroad bridge of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Those guns would lead to Confederate sharpshooters and skirmishers being advanced across this landscape here. A far smaller target for the artillery than a long line of battle. Now, interestingly enough, we would see those lines of battle being utilized to the south of us later in the afternoon in the fighting on Thomas Farm. We would have Confederate artillery that will actually succeed in advancing across the river down at the Worthington Ford with the Confederate infantry advance around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Those guns getting up onto the small rise of ground near Worthington Farm and begin to engage Federal forces. The Federal artillery, almost all of those guns at this point have been shifted down to Thomas Farm and would be engaging the Confederates, desperately trying to keep the Confederate infantry back. At this point, we are seeing those lines of battle by both sides moving across the landscape. But by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the Federal artillery is getting desperately low on ammunition. In fact, by 4:30, they are completely out of long-range ordnance. And While General Wallace would initially consider withdrawing his command at that point, he is advised by Brigadier General James Ricketts, remember the commander of those veteran troops that have been brought up from the Army of the Potomac, to wait a little bit longer, allow the artillery to withdraw. And that's exactly what federal forces will do, holding on desperately until around 5 p.m. By that point, not only do we have Confederate guns on the opposite side of the river pounding those federal positions, but Confederate cannon similar to this Napoleon have been advanced to the very front yard of Best Farm at tour stop number 1 and are now firing across the Monocacy River into the flank or the side of the federal line. This desperate position along what is today Araby Church Road will be abandoned by federal forces around 5 p.m. and the enfilading fire that those Federals are receiving from the Confederate artillery are a big reason why eventually Wallace is forced to withdraw from the field. So that about covers it for the use of the artillery here at the Battle of Monocacy. We hope you guys enjoyed this production, and if you have any questions, please do come see us here at Monocacy National Battlefield.
Well, now we've heard that artillery is the king of the battlefield, and Matt is the king of this battlefield park.
I don't know about that.
Well, I would like to thank him, and for a change from Monocacy National Battlefield Park, it's Brad Stone wishing you a great day, and hold on because you will get a bang out of this in just a second. Thank you.
All right, those are ready, Command. Now's a good time to cover the ears or a good time for a hug. Firing by section. Section